The September 30th, 2025 regular meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors is hereby called to order. Will Student Representative Dewing read the land acknowledgement, please?
We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this area, the Sadobish people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. In Everett Public Schools, we strive to create equitable outcomes and build a culture of inclusive belonging for all students, teachers, staff, and community.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Unless you are in uniform, please remove your hat.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
President Mitchell, Vice President Herman,
Present.
Director Revelinsky,
Present.
Director Atkins,
Present.
Director Lawrence,
Present.
Student Representative Covarrubias,
Present.
Student Representative Dewing.
Present.
Thank you. We are a little lighter on the dais tonight as Director Mitchell is away, and as you can hear, Director Atkins is participating virtually tonight. If any technical issues arise, please let us know. And thank you in advance to Jarrett Songstad, who's in the back, for coordinating our technology during these meetings. Next section, Section 5.0, adoption of the agenda. Dr. Salzman, were there any changes to the agenda after it was published?
Good evening, Madam Vice Chair. Since publishing the following change, there has been one item made. Item 7.01, the superintendent's report. The presentation was updated. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there any objection to the meeting agenda being adopted by general consent? Seeing and hearing none, the agenda is adopted by general consent. Section 6.0, recognitions. There are none tonight, but we look forward to starting these next month. Section 7.0, superintendent's report. Dr. Salzman.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Directors, and the public this evening, and our student reps. I want to begin my report with an update of the incredible, successful 100th birthday celebration of North Middle School, which was held on September 13th. Many generations of students came together to celebrate a century to relive the past and look ahead to the next century of being a staple in our community. 100 years. It's amazing. You saw old yearbooks, uniforms, photos, and so many artifacts and memorabilia were on display, including an original desk from 1925, which was amazing. I was looking for the Mariners championship from many years ago, but I knew we'll have a new one starting in next week for the Mariners. Just want to throw that out there in my report. Strategic plan refresh. I want to give a big thank you to our students, families, and staff for an amazing opening day. And I want to share with you what we're going to talk about with our strategic plan refresh survey. Everett Public Schools is seeking feedback from staff, families, students, and the broader community to develop the next phase of our strategic plan. Our strategic plan, which is very successful for 5 years, now we're going to do a refresh for another 5 years. The survey will take less than 5 minutes to complete and will be open from October 6th through October 31st. So please take a few moments to share your input and encourage others to do the same. There will be a designated time on Friday, October 10th, as part of the Learning Improvement Day for all staff to take the survey as well. The feedback will help shape the future of our schools and help us plan our next 5 years of strategic planning. So we're really looking forward to that. Would like to share to our public this evening the latest Smarter Balance assessment. The Washington Comprehensive Assessment of Science results were recently released. The Everett Public Schools outperformed their neighboring districts in reading, math, and science. Every district's outstanding, but kudos to Everett Public Schools, really doing really good work and continue to do good work. Our students were tested in grades 3 through 8, as well as grades 10, 11 during the 2024-2025 school year. this is a great accomplishment, but we still want to continue closing gaps, and we still want to improving. That's part of public education and part of a great cycle of learners that we continue improving. But please remember, behind any chart that you see today is not data, it's really students. And very proud of our students and families that send us our best every day. And we have great learners in the classroom and great teachers and staff helping our students. So looking forward to more growth and looking forward to this year as we continue to share some really great data with you. Which now leads me into a happy moment, another happy moment. Many of you might be aware or may not be aware, but Whittier Elementary School has earned one of the nation's highest honors in public education. It's recognized as the National Blue Ribbon School. Please don't take that lightly, okay? Only 1% of all public schools in our nation earn the Blue Ribbon Award. So on Friday afternoon, we visited Whittier Elementary. It was a surprise visit. So I think they were in a little bit of shock that we came by that with some special meeting. I don't know, they might have thought some other things, but it was also Spirit Day, so you might see some of us in spirit. But again, I want to stress what the National Blue Ribbon Award is. It's an honor based on academic excellence, progress in closing achievement gaps, parent involvement, and high student achievement and high goals. And Whittier's selection is the first in the Everett Public Schools to receive this distinction. So if you know anybody at Whittier, or if you've ever been to Whittier, if you ever went to Whittier, congratulations, because you were all part of this process, believe it or not, to make it a great school. And we're very proud of that. Proud of the staff, families, and community, and Principal Tony Wentworth is an exceptional leader. Him and his staff are awesome. So want to congratulate them on that and want to thank the public and board tonight from our report. Wishing everybody a fantastic Tuesday.
That's terrific. Thank you, Dr. Salzman. Section 8.0, Board and Student Representative Comments. Last time we had begun with directors, so this time we will begin with our student representatives. Student Representative Dewing, any board comments tonight?
Yeah, so school's about a month in now, and so sports are kind of finally settling in, and it's starting to be HOCO season, which is really awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And this morning I talked to Dr. Saltzman in the Cascade ASB for breakfast, and we were just talking about a lot of like the really cool changes that our ASB is doing in order to make homecoming more accessible, which I think is really awesome. They're doing a great job, so I'm looking forward to that.
So Sequoia is finally doing their elections for ASB now that other schools have established theirs. We're establishing ours tomorrow. We also have Significant Adult Night Wednesday, October 8th, where you come and meet our teachers and learn more about the programs we offer at Sequoia. We're also getting adjusted to Synergy. It's full of knowledge and information about our grades, which is amazing. And yeah.
Director Lawrence, would you like to go next?
None at this time, thank you.
Director Adkins, hopefully you're able to see and hear everything all okay. I was going to insert you in your regular spot.
Yes, are you able to hear me just fine?
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay, I do have a brief report. I was just hoping to talk a bit about Orange Shirt Day, if that's fine.
Yes, go ahead.
Ayukwi, and good evening. I hope the start of school has been going well for our students and their families. I want to first commend Dr. Saltzman, his wonderful team, and my fellow board members for a great, successful start to the school year. I've been busy starting my master's degree myself, so I don't have too much to report, but I did want to take time to have a moment to recognize that today is the National Day of Remembrance for the United States' Indian boarding schools, and in Canada, this day is known as National Truth and Reconciliation Day. It's otherwise known as Orange Shirt Day, and this is a day where we honor the lives of the Native children who were taken from their homes and families. We remember the children who never made it home, whose future, culture, language, and history was stolen from them by a federal government who saw its mission as kill the Indian, save the man. Over 350 boarding schools were ran both on and off reservations throughout the country, with over 60,000 Indian children going through these schools and over 3,000 children dying in these schools and never having the chance to return home. The federal government still runs 4 of these schools through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. As someone who attended one of the few remaining schools, Chemawa Indian School, I want to also ensure that we know that this is not just something in the past that we remember, honor, and then forget about. Indian kids just like me are still dying at these schools. Since I left Chemawa, there have been 4 deaths at Chemawa. So I plead to all of you who are listening or watching this meeting to please take some time today to reflect and think about your place in decolonization and think about what you can be doing in pursuing justice, truth, and reconciliation for our Indigenous families and communities, and ensuring that we can truly live in a society where every child matters. And to that end, I want to end my comments on a positive note. I just want to give thanks again to Dr. Saltzman, Dr. Boughton, and their wonderful teams for making so much progress over the past year on Indigenous education. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Director Adkins. Director Revelinsky.
Okie dokie. Since we last met, I had the chance to attend a Cascade High School football game where my daughter participated in the marching band, which was fantastic. I also went to Cascade girls volleyball game, and they really are something else. And it was in the new gym, which is looking really spiffy. I also visited the 2 Achieve classrooms at Monroe Elementary, which was a new experience for me. Prior to that, I had only really, experienced special education at Goal and Project Search. So that was a really wonderful thing to expand my own knowledge and understanding about special education. And I'm continually impressed by the talent and dedication of our students and our staff. I see some Teamsters in the room, and as a former Teamster, I want to say thank you for coming. I have a very vivid memory of sitting at my house making an Excel model, comparing the cost increases with the Durham contract compared to how gas prices actually changed. So that was, try it. You might be surprised. On tonight's consent agenda, I especially appreciated reviewing the school improvement plans for the Re-Engagement Academy and Emerson Elementary. The thoughtful work that goes into these plans shows the care our administrators and instructional leaders bring to guiding our schools. Thank you for your ongoing efforts as we continue to see strong growth in student achievement across the district per the superintendent's report. I also want to note the positive attention Everett Public Schools has been receiving recently in the press, highlighting both student achievement and the overall strength of our schools. And finally, I want to congratulate Principal Tony Wentworth, along with all the teachers and staff at Whittier Elementary, on being named, in my eyes anyway, a National Blue Ribbon School. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. For myself, I was able to visit North Middle School during their 100-year celebration at the community open house earlier this month. I love seeing the memorabilia, the legacy wall, the traditions, and the honoring of a century of North Middle School. Each school is unique in its history, and I think it's important for students to see that they are a part of something bigger than themselves and are part of that greater legacy. So well done to our North Stars. Last Monday, I also had the opportunity to attend a forum with Congresswoman Susan Delbene on K-12 education and her perspective on what's happening at the federal level. Thank you to our CFO, Ms. Truss, for also attending. And then last Tuesday, I attended WASDA's Federal Relations Network, that meeting with about a dozen other directors from around the state. Unfortunately, in both meetings, there were many concerns expressed about the lack of progress in passing a federal budget, with the federal fiscal year ending today, September 30th, and the potential of a government shutdown beginning at midnight tonight. What that means for our families and those organizations that rely on federal funding for their work. As we are all well aware, while we are primarily funded by the state, changes to federal funding are always important for us to understand, as they have significant implications for the services we are able to provide students. So we will continue to monitor progress on that. Okay, moving on to section 9.0, public comment. Dr. Salzman, are there any requests for public comment this evening?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
The board sets aside 15 minutes during regular board meetings to hear from our constituents. We do this because we value public input and want to hear and understand the perspectives you bring to the table. Each speaker has 3 minutes. As chair for this meeting, I have the responsibility to ensure that we conduct district business in public and that we do this in an orderly, productive, and respectful manner. We welcome ideas and opinions presented in the same manner. Thank you for helping me with this responsibility. The entire board welcomes you to this public meeting. It is important that all understand how this portion of your school board meeting is conducted. We will call you to the podium to speak in the order in which you signed up to speak. All comments are recorded, so the board will have access to everything said tonight. Repetition is not necessary, and it cuts into the time others have to speak. The public comments part of the agenda is for the board to listen to what you have to say. It is not for debate or discussion. Board members do not respond to individual comments, but a response will be sent on behalf of the school board as follow-up. Please remember that your words have impact, and you, not the school district, are responsible for your words. We ask that you help us model a respectful and inclusive community for our students. So it appears we have 3 speakers signed up to speak tonight. And the first one is Reverend Squires, who is in our district. And I believe, you have spoken previously?
No, I've not.
Okay, so what will happen is the lights on the podium, they will light up. You'll see a green button, and that represents your start time.
Okay.
When the yellow button goes, that's a reminder that you're approaching the end and you have 30 seconds left.
Okay.
And then the red button is going to indicate that your time is up. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm the Reverend Deborah Squires. I'm pastor of Our Savior's Lutheran Church and Preschool here in Everett. I'm here to speak for democracy, for public school education, and for separation of church and state. All of which compel me to speak against allowing religious organizations, such as my own, or such as LifeWise, to take young children out of school for religious instruction. I see the advantage to any religious organization to do that. The school has done the work of gathering the children. By having access to the children during the school day, religious organizations don't have to compete with other afternoon or weekend activities. They have prime time. I also see why this raises concerns about safety, divisiveness, and the slippery slope of when a skipped lunchtime may become skipped art, or music, or physical education classes. I represent a faith tradition more socially liberal than LifeWise. That's not the point. I don't think you should allow me or my church this kind of access either. If the school board thinks that the doctrines of Christian nationalism and the Southern Baptist Church or any other religious precepts should be taught during the school day, I would ask that you do it honestly. Run it through your system. Vet it. Don't abdicate the responsibility and trust for decisive and responsible leadership placed in you because of the virtue of the position you hold. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Reverend Squires, thank you for being here tonight. The second speaker is Ms. Kantak from Addressing Durham School Services Contract Negotiation.
There you go.
Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Kantak, and I'm the Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Officer of Teamsters Local 38 here in Everett. We represent approximately 175 members at the Durham School Services who transport most of the children who attend the Everett School District schools. We come before the board to ensure that you fully are aware that there is a very strong possibility that a labor dispute will occur, shutting down buses throughout the district, stranding children, and leaving parents to fend for themselves in regard to getting their kids to and from school. We don't want that to happen. And the Everett School District shares in the responsibility to ensure that there's no disruption. We've had 9 bargaining sessions with Durham since June. Durham has refused to bargain in good faith. We have been forced to file a federal unfair labor practice charge against the company for violating the federal law for surface bargaining and blatant disregard for our collective bargaining agreement. Our members deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, including receiving wages and benefits that are comparable to their counterparts that work here at Everett School District. Durham won't even negotiate over House Bill 1248, which requires it to provide comparable pension and health care benefits no later than August of 2027. They will not talk to us about it at the table, even though it's required by law. We have reached out to the school district on more than one occasion to keep it informed of the situation, and the district has presented itself as uninterested in the process and unwilling to help sort this issue out. The last thing that we want is a strike, but Durham has put us on a collision course for one to occur. The company is placing its community's most precious assets, the children, at risk by choosing to strike themselves. It is our hope that the school district will take seriously this situation and work with the parties to resolve this issue short of a strike. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cantor. And lastly, this evening, we have Mr. Glynn. Mr. Glynn could approach the podium. Mr. Glynn is a resident of the district.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I've had the pleasure of meeting Roman and Mr. Adams, Charles. It's great to see you up on the big screen finally. I have been living in the Snohomish area for about 30 years. I recently moved to Lowell. I don't have kids in the school system myself, but I have a lot of families around me that do. I love the area. I think Everett's a special place. I think all our kids deserve a good education, and that's what brings me here this evening. To keep my thoughts straight, I wrote something out I'd like to read. Thank you. So, as I said, our kids deserve a good education. And I want to talk to you about an issue that concerns us all, that of the mental health problems our kids face today. As you know, it's a very real and growing problem. How did we get here? Well, our history and culture of rugged individualism has led us to our current fragmented society where everyone has their own opinion about nearly everything, including our value system. But when it comes to our shared value system, using that approach doesn't work well for anybody. Scientific research shows when people lack a clear understanding or practice of our core values, mental health struggles and illnesses start to appear. And if left untreated, this can cause lifelong individual and societal problems. And this brings us to where we are today as individuals and as a society. So the most direct way of dealing with this problem would be to review and reconnect with our value system. Thankfully, Dr. Laurie Santos, a Yale University professor, has done the heavy lifting and assembled the most comprehensive, in-depth, and easy-to-use program on this very subject. It is called The Science of Well-Being. You can tell by the name of the course that it is a scientifically methodical, secular, non-religious, evidence-based program. She has made 4 of them using these same principles, one for teens, adults, parents, and another specifically designed for teachers. They are not meant to compete with other well-being programs like Ruler, but to complement them. The American Medical Association recently said there is a great need for evidence-based programs such as this. Teachers I've spoken with in the
Mr.
school
Glenn?
district.
I'm so sorry, the time is up, but I invite you to submit your comments to the board and we will make sure to review them.
Okay,
These 3 minutes go fast.
thank you very much.
Thank you for coming tonight. Next up on our agenda is section 10.0, legislative updates. Director Revelinsky.
Okay. On September 20th, WASDA, the Washington State School Directors Association, held its General Assembly, to which I was the board's delegate for voting. We, as delegates at WASDA, considered 3 bylaw amendment proposals. One passed, which resulted in bringing forward the deadline for submitting future bylaw amendments to 180 days before General Assembly. We also voted on 23 position proposals. Many were housekeeping consolidations, which is combining overlapping positions on things like equitable PK-12 funding, ML programs, student mental health, and transportation. There were some important new positions, including a call for greater transparency and predictability around apportionment payment schedules that we saw this past legislative session, new commitments to climate change education and sustainability, expanding access to re-engagement programs for students who need a second chance at school success, and stronger expectations for board governance training for directors. Overall, it was an enjoyable experience with dignified debate. It was valuable to hear the perspectives of many board director delegates from across Washington. And the next step for us is for each school board to submit 10 of their highest priority legislative positions for the upcoming legislative session, which WASDA will then use to build a unified statewide priorities list.
Terrific, thank you. Section 11.0, consent agenda. Dr. Salzman, have you received any questions about the consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and the public this evening. In the case of the consent agenda, the Superintendent's Office received no questions regarding the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you very much. I think we have 15 items on there. Does any director wish to remove an item from the consent agenda and place it in new business section of the agenda? And I'm realizing that Director Adkins, I cannot see your screen, so make sure you speak up if there is any portion of the meeting you wish to. Perfect, thank you. So now, is there any objection to adopting the consent agenda by general consent? Seeing and hearing none, the consent agenda is approved by general consent. Thank you. Okay, section 12.0, strategic progress monitoring. There is none for this meeting. And we're moving on to section 13.0, information discussion. 13.01, start of school update. Dr. Scott.
Thank you very much. Well, good evening, Vice President Herman, Board of Directors, Dr. Salzman, student representatives. It's my privilege to kick off the season here with a team behind me to illustrate some of the key and core tenets of the start of school annual update. There it is. And our objectives tonight are to illustrate both the instructional and operational investments that we've made as means to the ultimate end of providing our students and our community a smooth and successful start of the school year. And that was the chief goal. And we want to align each of these core investments to our strategic priorities as well. You can see the team here. We've got a pretty comprehensive lineup. looking at things like the importance of leadership development, induction and professional learning, curriculum supports and deployment, student information system, which is once in a decade development, and that was a really big, heavy, and important lift. Again, we want to make sure that there is an appropriate and adequate illustration of those core preparatory pieces so that both you and the community have an understanding of what goes behind the scenes in many cases to lift up and launch a successful start of the school year. So we're really looking forward to that tonight. And again, these are our success criteria right here. It's people, right? Starting with our students. It's the smiles, it's the hugs, it's the kiss and go lines, it's the brand new backpacks. Sometimes those backpacks are bigger than the kids, if you're talking about kindergartners. Seeing those folks excited for the first day of school, feeling prepared, confident, ready to learn and to grow in the 25-26 school year, that's what it's all about. And so that's the storyline. And we hope that we keep that as the end in mind in this preparatory presentation for you tonight.
So as a team, we talk a lot about a strong launch. It's a common phrase for many months as we prepare. And a significant part of a strong launch is investment into our leaders. So one of the ways that we provide a strong launch is to invest in them with leadership development, as well as some structured collaborative learning time. So I'll walk you through some of the major ways that we did that led to the strong launch. It started all the way back in June. We had a full day with all of our school leaders right across the hall, and it was a big boost for their planning. They were analyzing preliminary data that was already in. They were refining their school improvement plans. They were mapping out the key professional learnings that they were going to engage in throughout the whole year in June, based on the fresh data that was coming in. This also provided time for them to think about their strong launch with their staff for the learning improvement days. And they got to share ideas with each other, which is absolutely essential. And so that structured collaborative time really positioned all of our schools for that strong launch. Additionally, we had some new leaders. So our brand new school administrators had their leadership orientation. So they had a full day with us. We invested in those relationships, and that group had a deep dive into technology tools, human resource processes, as well as getting into our strategic plan. So they were equipped to do their work in July and into August. So investing in our new school leaders. The big hit, though, is our Summer Leadership Institute. And so that's pictured on the slide there. That's all school administrators for 3 days at the North Middle School. Our theme was Every Learner, Every Voice. That is our theme for this year, centering our students. There was a lot of fun. You may have heard there was a lip sync with the Every Learner, Every Voice theme, and even senior staff engaging in costumes for this lip sync. But most of all, it was led by our superintendent, centering our students, anchored in achievement data, a really focused time to make sure that as a team, we were all rowing in the same direction for our students. So we engaged in some of the new things that happen each year. This includes our new teacher evaluation system. We had time to invest in that. We had time with Synergy, as you can imagine, so getting ready for those things. And then all of our operational folks had differentiated time in their departments to advance their department learning. So it was very differentiated and focused towards our common goal for a strong launch. So all of those sessions worked together for a big investment into our leaders, and it paid off.
Thank you. You just heard about and saw in the previous slide the focus on summer leadership development. At the Summer Leadership Institute and at the School Improvement Planning series that Dr. Meisner described, and under Dr. Saltzman's leadership, we've emphasized this roadmap for student achievement and success. this emphasis has continued through this first month of school. In fact, we were using this roadmap just this morning with elementary principals and their instructional coaches just across the hall. And we'll continue to use this roadmap for student achievement and success throughout the year. And you can see that the top priority is high-quality instruction and monitoring student progress to standards. We need to have high-quality instruction for every student in every classroom every day. And the only way we're going to know that we have that is if we monitor student progress to standards. So here are ways that we're doing that. We are taking focused academic walks, and that means district senior leadership is walking in classrooms with principals, with instructional coaches, and we're using some data analysis to take action. So we're not looking at an individual teacher and exactly what they're doing on a given day. That's the principal's job and the instructional coach. What we're doing is we're taking data broadly across all the classrooms that we see, and we're looking at data trends and saying, what do we need to do differently, more of, or engage in, so that we can improve education for all our students. These walks are focused, and we have specific look-fors when we're in those classrooms. We know what high-quality instruction looks like, and we want to look for that in every classroom, from our youngest to our seniors and even beyond. We do that with our instructional leaders, and our instructional leaders in the schools goes beyond the principals. When we're talking about instructional leaders, we're talking about our principals, yes. We're also talking about assistant principals. We're talking about instructional coaches, and we're talking about teacher leaders that lead their teams, their professional learning communities, as they look at how their individual students are doing across a grade level or across a department in a secondary school, and what they can do together with their collective brilliant minds to make sure that it's going to be even better for the students. Again, the school leaders and which includes that broad base of school leaders, do instructional walks in the classrooms to see how they can best improve. Staff members often observe one another. They engage in things that we call OELs, or observation for evidence of learning, and they talk with one another. They're really highly engaged, and they do that through their professional learning communities or their grade level or department level team, really looking at student data and remembering that it is the students that are behind those numbers, and figuring out what they need to do, what's their next move, based on what they find is happening with the student assessments. And they say, what do we need to do next to ensure that these students who have not yet met standard, that we can help them meet standard through reteaching, through extended day, through other interventions. What about the students who have already met standard? And what can we do to help them to grow even further? So those, as I said, those purposeful classroom visits are enhanced by consistent look-fors. And then and we sharpen those look-fors as we go. And then short cycle mini assessments. We make sure that our teachers and teams are assessing students on a regular basis based on the standards for that course. What do they need to learn in this 4-week cycle? How will we know they're getting there? And then how do we assess at the end? So we have these short cycle mini assessments. They might be the end of unit assessment in a math, science, or English class, or they might be a checkpoint halfway along the way, or they might even be a cool down at the end of one particular lesson. The PLC, the group of teachers, will determine what that is, and they will use the results of that to determine their next steps. A big part of that progress monitoring is our instructional reviews. We've had 4 of them so far out of the 27, and we're well on our way, and I think they've been really meaningful. What we need to remember is the instructional reviews as part of this map. Those reviews on that day are not the end point. That's the beginning, because out of that instructional review, we build, the principals and their leadership team build instructional review action plans. And they look at what are the things that we really need to move forward to continue to grow in our instruction and in student outcomes, always centering the students. And then we do a cycle of review of those instructional review action plans too. So we come back to those schools and continue to cycle through. I got to tell you that this roadmap has led us to become better leaders, to more intentionally lead, so that each and every student will achieve to high standards. And I can't tell you how incredibly helpful it has been to have this roadmap right from the beginning, and for us to have it with us every day and really focus on this as the way we are going to continue to grow, close gaps, and ensure that every student learns every day.
Thank you. I would just dovetail on that and talk about the importance of that roadmap remaining prominent and front and center in our professional learning series, not just over the summer, but in meaningful and authentic ways. And like Dr. Wood said, our superintendent has co-developed and led with that roadmap. And you can see here, it was a busy but productive August, right? So one of the most important things we can do as a district is lead professional learning aligned to our strategic priorities. And so months of preparation go into designing and leading each of these sessions. And this is just a cross section of offerings throughout and important events led by just a whole host of folks, both based out of this building and most importantly, based out of the school centers, led by the principal, assistant principal, instructional coaches, teacher leaders. It's fantastic, the kind of joint, collaborative, creative, synergistic work that's gone on in our schools to launch the school year. And again, all as means to the end of equipping folks with what they need to be successful, instructors in each classroom and leaders in the building. This visual, again, is just a cross-sampling of it. And I want to highlight a few of these from that calendar and just spotlight them. Our annual new teacher orientation involved a red carpet, a literal red carpet. You can see that on the right there. We had 77 new teachers at Evergreen Middle School learning fundamental needs and navigation. They were welcomed by Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Saltzman. You can see the board's picture there on the top left. It's important for folks to know that they're joining an organization that cares about them, that are going to invest in their success, that their success in year one is our success. Because again, many of them, if they're in elementary, they're in front of 24, 25, 26 kids. Secondary, 150 students each day. The multiplying effect of pouring into these professionals can't be overstated. So the new teacher orientation, instructional materials supports, equipping them for success really through the month of September and October. Getting them familiarized with both systems and materials that will support them in their respective roles. New paraeducator orientation, 64 participants. What we tried to highlight here are culturally responsive practices and student support systems, specifically around student learning and safety and how to bolster paraeducator skills and that complementary relationship and such an important relationship they play in each school building. Everett Learns, you've heard about Everett Learns. It is a one day full of professional learning across the system. It's open to both certificated and classified staff. We had 58 this year, 58 strategic priority aligned offerings with a range of sessions on instructional best practice. If there's a thread through some of those sessions, you might find the thread or common denominator to be about equitable instructional practices, social emotional learning, and STEM emphases. And finally, the Dual Language Academy. This is the second annual Dual Language Academy that we've hosted in Everett Public Schools, in bringing in educators from multiple districts across the state to collaborate, share best practices on dual language programs. And the entire 2 days are in the Spanish language. And that's important on a number of levels. So this year, we saw 150 participants over 2 days among 10 districts and multiple educational partners like Western Washington, OSPI, et cetera. So that's another really important induction process that we hope will be part of our annual series for years to come.
So as we launched the 25-26 school year, the academics office ensured a strong, well-supported start for both staff and students by working diligently over the summer to deploy some new curriculum materials, shift existing resources between buildings, and prepare professional learning that really empowers educators to implement the tools meaningfully. So one major highlight that you can see on the screen here is the rollout of Open SciEd, which is our elementary science curriculum. We are super fortunate here in Everett to have an amazing core of teaching staff. Over 70% of our K-5 staff actually were trained in both June and August dates. We have some flexible times. The remainder were actually trained in September. We were able to give them opportunities to explore the kits, sample what it was like to do Unit 1 and how do you build some of these different experiments for students to really engage meaningfully in the scientific process. It's been a true joy to see. In addition to that, you can see on the screen, it was all hands on deck at the Science Resource Center as we assembled over 450 elementary science kits. That's a lot of ping pong balls and soda pop bottles. So it was a really great, enjoyable time. Everybody helped to roll these out so that our kids could start the school year with our science kits and really spark the curiosity that science really ignites. We also deepened our commitment to culturally responsive education through professional learning focused on the John McCoy Lutlilash since time immemorial curricula, including the newly released Tulalip tribe-specific units. Those have just been released last year, and they really give our students and staff the opportunities to ensure that our kids get a chance to see their histories and their local communities reflected in the learning that happens in the classroom. And in the arts, we're very excited about our new elementary music curriculum, Quaver Music. And you can see we have a group of students here really enjoying some of those musical materials. In this case situation, some kerchiefs as they were dancing and singing along. You can see just the sheer joy in these photos where kids are really interacting with the resources. It speaks volumes of the commitment that Everett has made to the arts and the fine arts in K-8 education for sure. And all of these efforts really reflect our strong beliefs that strong starts begin with strong preparation. We're really proud of the collaborative work that went into making all of this possible, and we're super excited for the learning to help each student achieve to high levels this year.
Well, what an exciting start to the school year as we launched our new student information system after months of planning and preparation, and we cut that over in July. So very exciting start to the year, all the preparation and work that went into it to get ready for that cut over from our previous student information system. I do want to take a moment to thank our community who passed the technology renewal levy in 2022, and the funds from that help support us moving to a more modern, interactive, and single platform for our families and for our students and for our staff. And you've heard a lot about professional development efforts this summer and across the district for this strong launch. And the Learning and Information Technology Services Department made that a real focus this summer to have a really robust professional development offerings as we worked with our staff and students after we moved over to the new, and our parents too, to the new system. So we developed this professional development plan, and you can see on this slide the different work groups and the dates for the trainings that our team conducted, and we organized these around the trainings around user groups so we could tailor the professional development for their needs. And we also made sure to include the idea of learning styles, and so some of these were live and some of these were asynchronous, and work groups could decide how they wanted to attend those. We had some come to both, an in-person, and they would do the refresher online. For teachers and paraeducators, we used the train the trainer model. And we had our trainers complete trainings last spring, and then we brought them back in the summer for what we called a refresher to finalize the materials they would use during their their Learning Improvement Day, and the information that they would share. And so you can see pictured on this slide, this is the Learning Improvement Day at Everett High School being facilitated by teacher trainers as they were walking their staff through the new student information system. Once the sessions we also offered during Everett Learns was for those staff that even before the Learning Improvement Day, they wanted a chance to get in there and work in their teacher gradebook, to like set the gradebook up. And so we had many teachers come sign up for that session to actually get an early start even before the lid day to do this. Once our teachers returned, we launched the school year, training them on the parts of the student information system that they would need for a strong launch to the school year. This included teacher view, gradebook, attendance, and discipline, the key tenets of what they would need to kind of start the school year off. During the opening weeks of school, we continue to offer ongoing support. You see the Learning Information Technology Services Department pictured there. And we continue to have open office hours. We man what we call the Synergy Hotline that we've given staff to call if they have questions. We know our biggest users of a student information system are office staff and administrators. And so we have made ourselves available to be on site, on the phone, open office hours, and we continue to work with them to get them the help and the support that they need. And that will continue as long as they need it as we transition to this new system. I do want to highlight one piece of the student information system that is that's exciting, and that is the launch of Parent View and Student View. These are two applications that can be on a phone. They're an app, but they're also web-based. We have nearly 14,000 parents already signed up for Parent View. This is just a snapshot of the first few days of school. Parent View launched first. It launched like the end of July. Student View became active right before the start of the school year because students can see their schedule, so we couldn't open it up at the end of July. We wanted to wait until schedules were solidified. But you can see the spike, of course, as all of that became active, and those are the successful unique logins. And this continues to be something that they have access to. They will be able to see schedules, the attendance. We have thousands of parents who have already logged their attendance in online using the application. They can see, parents and students can essentially see the same information, but it gives them more one place to go and readily accessible between their phone, their web. The information is more accessible and information that they need in a timely fashion, and that was key. And the key to all of this is one platform for our parents and our students, and we're really excited about the launch and thankful for the board's engagement and support, and also our community for the funds to be able to support this.
Well, it's been a busy summer in our operations department, and to prepare our schools to launch this August, with the support of our community and to fund the 2022 capital levy, significant work has been accomplished this summer to renovate and maintain our community's capital investments. The pictures I'm going to be sharing with you this evening represent the major projects that were accomplished over the summer. And one of the great parts about being in the operations world is that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to be a little more visual, a little less wordy for you. So what I'm going to show you tonight is but a fraction of the work that our facilities and operations staff have completed in the past 3 months for this successful launch. So let's begin in the upper left-hand corner. For the viewers at home, we've put your school symbols of each of our schools in the corners of the pictures, just so you can follow along with me. But in the upper left-hand corner is the Gateway Guardians. This is actually the brand new boiler systems that we have as part of Phase 1 HVAC upgrades related to the Clean Buildings Act. And you can see the same similar work happened this summer, Phase 1 at Evergreen and Heatherwood as well. Very modernized looking units there that you see there, but that's what commercial heating and cooling systems do look like. Next, if we go over to the right there, we have Penny Creek Elementary, the Frogs. You can see this is Phase 1 of its 2 summer phase project. 3 of the buildings out of the total number of buildings there were re-roofed this summer, and we will come back this next summer and finish them off. And it's looking great. It was a great project there. Down in the right-hand corner, and thank you, Director Revelinsky, you were just there. This is Cascade High School's gymnasium. You may recall last year we redid their bleachers and the floor. We went back and did a second coating, really shine up the floor after year one, make sure it's durable and lasting. But you're gonna see in the background there where you probably see the reflective lights. Those are LED lights that were replaced up above to illuminate the space much more better, lower energy bills, consistent lighting, and so you can see that reflect the light there. But you'll notice that there's a landscape of mountains there in the back. And next time you're at Cascade High School, what I challenge you to do is to look at the outside of the building, because that same landscape is on the outside of the building. It represents the Cascade Mountain Range that you can see so beautifully from Cascade. And we brought it into the entire motif around the entire gym. So really beautiful space now. Proud of that work. And then finally on the bottom right, left-hand corner, you see the Emerson Falcons. This is their brand new playground. We commit to replacing our aging playgrounds at each of our schools. Kids deserve great places to play, safe places to play, and this was our most recent work. Next, other major projects we have. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner. This is Mill Creek Elementary School. You can see this is one of our reader boards that we have installed over the summer, trying to get those to every school. And our Together We Sign right there on it. Really awesome. To the right, in the upper right-hand corner, is Jackson High School. This is a complete resurfacing of the Jackson High School tennis courts. They are state champions. That's not why we redid it, but it's important that we have good facilities for our athletes. You'll notice we also installed permanent bleachers in front of those spaces now, so it's easier for our community to watch those events. In the bottom right-hand corner is Jackson Elementary School. You're staring west in the existing building on the roof, looking out to the new building. That's actually the very front of the building when it's all done, because it has been built on the back western half of the campus. So really exciting there. Every day is a new picture. We will keep you updated through social media, working with our communications department on the progress of that capital project. And then in the bottom right, left-hand corner, a little bus there tells you what's going on. That's our North Transportation Facility. This is a worker here who's working on the re-roofing project for that actual building. So got a brand new roof there. Keep everybody dry. In the upper left-hand corner is Cedarwood Elementary School. We have a lot of gymnasiums, as you can imagine, for all of our schools that we have to take care of every year. This particular one is an example of 12 different gymnasiums that were taken care of this year. We had 4 elementary schools, and then all of our secondary schools had recoatings this year, and that's on a cycle. We have a system for that, but it looks beautiful. It looks really nice. That's been there a long time, that wood, and yet still looks like it was the day it was made, so that's great. Okay, now I'm going to challenge you something. You're probably saying, Mr. Fleckenstein, why do you have a picture of somebody doing the floors? We all know we have to clean the floors over the summer. Well, here's the important fact about that, and this will blow your mind a little bit. So yes, it's very important that we maintain our facilities, that we keep our floors, our capital investments that the community has invested in high quality shape to last as long as possible. But what you don't know is that if you took all of the square footage of our flooring in Everett Public Schools, it is more square footage than all 85 floors of the Empire State Building. And they do that in less than 2 months. So it's very impressive what they are actually able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Bottom right-hand corner is an example of our painting crews. They go in and they do renovations of classroom projects. This is actually classroom 209 at Cascade High School, which is one of our special education classrooms, where the space was converted to accommodate that program. And you can see, fantastic job there redoing the walls in those spaces. And I had to put this in because I'm very passionate. Everybody knows that I'm very passionate about Cascade. It was my first building that I worked in when I came to Everett, Washington. And this is an example of the restoration of their courtyard. We have reestablished its irrigation system and have planted grass to reestablish that courtyard for this spring, so the kids will really be able to be on the lawn and enjoying it when the nice weather comes back to us in April or June, whenever it happens. It varies. And finally, I just want to recognize our transportation department. Fantastic folks there. We have 27 of 75 large buses equipped with seatbelts now, which is a great safety measure in our partnership with Durham Services. We also have all of our small buses now fully equipped with seatbelts. Over the summer, we worked with Durham to install new radio communication systems to provide clear and reliable communication for our bus drivers. And that's really important because when there is a bus emergency, we don't want to delay support to our drivers by not having effective communication systems. So that seems like a small thing. It's actually a very big thing. And then finally, I shared with you last year, we had 3 new electric buses that joined our fleet. We will be receiving an additional 6 throughout this year. Grant funded, of course, we continue to tap into the Department of Ecology for those funds. That pays for those electric buses. So thank you.
With the start of the school year, it means students back in classroom and the district looking at its overall enrollment. I also want to highlight, we talked about strong planning, but also strong systems overall. And part of having strong systems is having the agility to adjust based on needs and adjust our resources based on what we're seeing within the district. So we're projecting our head count for our students. So part of that process is to review our enrollment the first 8 days of school. So we have all of our schools and our departments and within finance and HR evaluating students coming in to get a general sense of where we're going to be headed in enrollment and with enrollment, which we rely on our October 1 head count to project our overall enrollment for the end of the year. I want to highlight, we do anticipate a little bit lower enrollment than prior year and lower than our budgeted enrollment. But again, as I mentioned, the district has strong systems to have the agility to adjust staffing and resources based on our enrollment needs. And we were able to accommodate that as we move forward in our budget planning.
Opening day is one of the most exciting moments of the year, and we wanted to make sure we were telling our story in a new and exciting way. Alongside media coverage that day, which was very exciting, and as you can see up there, one of our media outlets captured our superintendent and his excitement in a great way with a wonderful headline, "It's like the Super Bowl," which we thought was wonderful. We really focused our storytelling also on social media to engage with our community. And we saw significant growth this year from last year compared to this year, especially on Instagram, which is where we have the most engagement from our families and our students. So from our coverage for the first day last year in 2024 to the first day this year in 2025, our views on Instagram alone increased 158%. And this shows us that people are connecting with our story right from day one. This year, we also launched our Community Connection Project. Together, we inspire, achieve, thrive. Together, we are Everett Public Schools. So we are doing this by highlighting the incredible work of our students and staff, and we're telling our story in a new way. Part of this project includes sharing posters throughout our community to bring us together and unify supports for our entire school community. Hopefully you've seen those around our district, all throughout the entire district. We also, on our website, have an opportunity for families and students and staff to submit their stories through a form to inspire us and for us to be able to tell their stories that show inspiration, achievement, and how they're thriving. So we've already had submissions to that, and it's a great way for us to learn about these great things that are happening in Everett Public Schools. Another key piece of the project is our Together We Inspire, Achieve, Thrive video. From launch day on August 12th, with just over 7,000 views to now, here at the end of September, we have had more than 34,000 views. And these results really show how powerful we are connecting with the community and they're connecting with us here at Everett Public Schools. And if you do that math, from August 12th to today, we've increased our views by 375%. But tonight, we are going to get one more view as we share the video with all of you. Sorry.
In Everett Public Schools, excellence is not a goal. It is who we are. Together, we inspire, achieve, thrive. We set the bar for academic success, leading the region in graduating students ready for the future. We do not let financial barriers determine success. No matter where you come from, expectations are high and support is strong. From championship-winning athletes to the arts, from celebrating our many cultures to classrooms where all students belong, opportunity lives in every hallway. Here, students learn real-world skills with real-world impact. Our staff, they are more than educators. They are mentors, champions, innovators. Whether you're already part of our story or just beginning to discover it, know this. When we inspire, we achieve. When we achieve, we thrive. Together, we are Everett Public Schools.
Thank you very much. That concludes our presentation, and we welcome any questions that you might have for the team.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scott and the entire team. Board and student representatives, any questions, comments, thoughts? I think Director Revelinsky wave his hand.
Always Roman. Yeah, I have some questions. Mostly about enrollment. And I'm curious, if you could expand maybe a little bit on causes or effects. I'm curious, like what happened, and how many families were affected by, potential class releveling, and just how many. Tell me more.
Excellent. So we did see lower enrollment in our kindergarten projection, so that was part of driving it, and some of it in our secondary. And we're still digging into the data on the secondary piece of it. Kindergarten is probably the hardest one to predict overall, so that was from that perspective. And then when it comes to staffing, so when we know, for example, registrations coming in for kindergarten, we were able to hold on some of our staffing ahead of time, and then we'll shift based on leaves when we can appropriately. So we did hold on a couple classrooms and made some shifts to I think 3 other classrooms. So.
Oh wow! So 3 classrooms only.
Yeah, I believe so. There'll
Wow.
be shifts later, but not impacting the current semester.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great
job. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I also just want to, again, commend the entire team, also recognizing, as I've said in the past, this past summer was a week shorter. And when you look at that schedule, you realize there's a lot to fit in over the summer, and the district gets a lot done that I don't think the public always sees. So great presentation tonight. Okay, we are going to move on to section 14.0, unfinished business. There is none this meeting. Section 15.0, new business, and we start with a capital bond proposal for 2026. Mr. Fleckenstein.
It always takes me like 40 clicks, I swear. Well, good evening, and Vice President Herman, Director Revelinsky, Director Lawrence, and student representatives, and Superintendent Dr. Saltzman. Tonight it is my pleasure to present to you the work of the Capital Bond Planning Committee and submit for your review the proposal and Resolution 1325 for our future capital bond measure. Tonight, this presentation will be centering around Resolution 1325, is for a capital bond proposal in the amount of just under $400 million for placement on the February 10th, 2026 special election ballot. These funds will be used for capital improvements to the district's educational facilities. Just a quick recap for our community and for the board and our student representatives. In your December 10th, 2024 school board meeting, directors had adopted Resolution 1317, which charged staff to then, the superintendent and his staff to develop a capital bond planning committee to develop a proposal by June 24th and recommendation to the superintendent for a future capital measure. The Capital Bond Planning Committee had 29 community members, 4 high school students, and district support staff. We met 6 different times throughout the late winter and through the spring, and that included a facility site tour and 2 community engagement sessions. To highlight the great work of the Capital Bond Planning Committee, a report was submitted to Dr. Saltzman on June 24th. I'll encapsulate here with the major projects that are new and replacement projects. I will also go into the full list of projects in just a moment with their valuations, their projected valuations. So the first is construction of new elementary school. We have overcrowding. We have 100 portables in Everett Public Schools at the elementary level alone. That is 2.5 elementaries worth of students in portables each day. The construction of a new elementary school would help to alleviate that overcrowding. The new career technical and education building at Cascade High School would support the choice programs that we have in place and create modern facilities to expand the offerings that we could do there, but also engage more students in the program with more modern space. We, on this proposal, have 12 new additional permanent classrooms that we would add to construction projects that are on this capital bond and in future projects too, to expand capacity of permanent space, not portables. One of the most impassioned projects that we see that the committee had on this was the replacement of Lowell Elementary School. It was considered in the previous capital measure that passed in 2022, but unfortunately due to size and to be mindful of the community's impact of tax on the tax rate, it was removed from that project list. The committee felt very strongly that this and new elementary school, which would be number 19 in our portfolio, were the 2 most primary need of projects. Replacement of building 2 at Cascade High School. This is the modernization of the Cascade campus as a whole. It was built very long ago in the 60s. It's been renovated already, but the buildings are starting to near the end of its life and getting costly to repair. We have modernization of the Everett High School vocational building, which is, we have done some of the work there in preparation for choice program. This would finish the job there in the vocational building. And then maintaining the investments of our public, which is replacing roofing systems, improvements to playgrounds, HVAC, heating and electrical systems, and safety and security improvement upgrades. I won't read every single project on these 2 lists that I'm about to share with you, but just for our public to know that in this presentation, it is available to them online right now to look at the projects in more detail with their total project costs shared. So again, the projects I've already shared with you, we've talked about. The main thing is, I will go into a little bit further, is safety and security upgrades. It's really important that we have safe and secure schools. And so intrusion detection integration district-wide of our cameras, our badge access, and our security monitoring systems are really important. And then, of course, expanding more cameras district-wide to reach those areas that are not yet surveilled. I also want to point out one thing that was really important to the committee was to really make our facilities accessible to the community, have more community use. And so it was developed by the committee to put 2 synthetic track fields at 2 of our middle schools, somewhere in the central and south portion of the district, to add that to this package. And just for everybody who doesn't know, when we redid North Middle School in 2016, from the 2016 capital bond bond, it has a synthetic field in the north. So we're trying to make sure that all three regions, at least to start, have a synthetic field for access for our community. And then it would also include 4 elementary playground replacements. And then finally, the last thing to really talk about, because I know it was a board priority from your last legislative priority from last year, is everything related to HVAC and Clean Buildings Act. And you'll see here that we have put a $5 million provision there for compliance to the Clean Buildings Act law. And so at this time, in board docs and available for the public in its entirety, Resolution 1325 outlines the unlimited tax general obligation bonds and the ballot measure that we are seeking or presenting to you today for your review. So for the public, if you're interested, you can see the details of that resolution there, but it encapsulates everything that I've presented tonight in this meeting. The next steps, the board is here to listen to the proposal and to ask any questions about it. It is not, tonight is not the action of the board to take that, but should the board choose in its next meeting to approve this resolution, then the timeline of events from that point forward are here on the screen. We would have community engagement events about the capital bond measure on November 6th and January 20th for our community to learn more about what is on this bond package. Ballot measures, if it were to be placed on the February 10th election, ballot measures, information submittal from the district is December 12th. Ballots are then mailed out for that February election on January 22nd. And I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Fleckenstein. Big project for us. A lot coming up. Tonight was information only. We have received multiple updates on this, actually through the past year, really. And again, commending the work of the Bond Planning Committee in the spring. But there's always room for questions and thoughts. Anything from, I'll look at student representatives first. Any thoughts or comments? Okay, thank you. Directors, anything you'd like to ask or comment on?
I would just say thank you again to the Capital Bond Planning Committee. You know, a lot of work went into this. Facilities tours, a bunch of meetings late at night for family members. You know, it was a lot of work, and people, a lot of people in the district poured their hearts into this a little bit. So I would just, I mean, yeah, this doesn't feel super new to me, but thank you again. Really nice work, and yeah.
Great. I want to reiterate with something I'd heard this morning on a webinar, that there's sort of an 80-20 percentage in any given school district, that 20% of people have a close connection to the schools and receive regular communication, which means that 80% of a school district, in terms of constituents, maybe don't have that close connection and may not understand sort of what the story is of our district, which is why the communications department for our district has such an important job for getting our story out there and getting that information out there, which will be very important during this time as we go to voters. So October 14th at the next meeting is when we can expect to see the resolution. And again, just thank you and all the people involved for the work on this.
Thank you.
That actually leads up to the very next, Replacement Educational Programs and Operations Levy Proposal, EP&O. Ms. Truss.
Thank you, Board of Directors, Dr. Saltzman, Vice President Mitchell, and student representatives. Tonight, we are going to be discussing Resolution 1326, replacement of the Operations Programs and Educational Programs and Operation Levy. In tonight's in tonight's agenda item is the draft resolution proposal that the district is asking the board to review tonight for the ability to be placed on the February 10th special election ballot. We'll discuss tonight also local property tax support, how the education levy supports amount through 2030, and then local and state funding shifts, as well as the fiscal advisory review of the information presented here tonight. So I want to walk through our community and our board and our students, student representatives, how the district gets local support from our community. And so I bucketed this into 3 different perspectives. One is our education, or that educational programs and operation levy, which requires a 50% plus 1 majority vote, which funds the district's main operating fund, or you'll often hear me say the general fund. We receive that funding throughout a calendar year and primarily 2 times a year. And again, supports enrichment programs and unfunded basic education programs. And then when we look at an additional levy support, that can support building infrastructure and major building improvements, as well as technology and capital supports. This is similar to our education levy, which requires a 50% plus 1 majority vote for our community. And then we again similarly get those funds in a similar way to the district's general fund. However, we can only use them in our capital projects supports. And then the other way the districts in the state can get support from our local community is capital constructions bonds. And that requires a 60% plus 1 supermajority vote. And then that is supported through our debt service fund, which pays the principal interest. And then that funding comes in similarly to the other funds. The one piece that is a little bit different with the bonds is that when it comes to how we build the ability to collect those funds, we have the ability to issue that debt based on the needs of the district and the plan within that bond. And so we can adjust timing and needs again throughout that project plan and based on where we're at within those supports. So I'm going to talk primarily about the education portion of the levy, really because this is what the resolution presented to the board focuses on, and I want to focus on the supports that this education levy helps within the district to maintain the services that the district currently provides. It includes extracurricular programs and sports and activities, additional program offerings, early learning, dual language programs, choice programs are a lot of the supports that come through that. It also provides additional staffing in counseling services, nursing services, and our health rooms, as well as it funds unfunded portions of the state funding model, including transportation, safety and security, and really costs that the state doesn't fund. There's like substitute costs as a specific example as well. I want to kind of highlight the structure of an education levy, or the EPNO levy you might hear, is that we have a maximum of 4 years that we can ask our community to provide that levy. So every 4 years we have to go out and ask our community. This levy would currently replace our current levy. And then we are putting together the information right now, so in this month, to estimate what we think we will collect or what we think we could collect from that community. There's a lot of different assumptions put into that, one of them being student enrollment, the inflationary factor, the consumer price index, the district's overall assessed property values within the community, and then the state defined authority or levy capacity throughout the state. Actual collections, what the district can actually collect, is really governed by that state capacity level that's set by the state. And then, as I mentioned before, our local levies continues to cover unfunded basic education costs as well as other supports across the district. I also want to focus on highlighting about how the funding has shifted in the model and state funding within the district and within the state overall. So in 2017, 2018, the state was required to amply fund basic education costs. And so what the state did was actually increase our overall state funding, but it also capped what the districts are allowed to collect locally from the communities. So they increased that state funding, and then they capped the overall local community. So in 2017, when that change in funding factor happened. The district's local levy was 18.8% of our total revenues. The next year, that dropped to about 12.9% of our total revenues. However, we had an increase in our state funding overall, so that increased by 5%. When you look at the reality now, our local levy compared to 17-18 is actually 3.4% lower from what we can collect as a total revenue percentage, meaning right now it's about 15.4% of our total revenues. However, when we look at our state general purpose fund, state general purpose revenues, they also decline proportionally to our overall state revenue collections of about 2.1%. And so we're seeing that shift and that our state general purpose funding not keep up within what was set after the levy swap. So part of what the state has done is they provided additional funding in special education programs and MSAC programs. However, they've also increased the levy capacity for all of the districts as a whole. So currently in 2025, Everett Public Schools can collect just under $3,300 per FTE or student FTE enrollment. Seattle is a little bit higher at this moment in time, but as you'll see through 2031, that gap will close and all districts across the state will be able to collect just over $5,000 per pupil or student FTE for the districts. What that means for the district as a whole. So the district monitors its fiscal stability based on fund balance, which we measure as a total fund balance to total, as a percentage of total expenditures. And that minimum fund balance the board set within policy is 5%. The adopted budget for the 25-26 year assumes that the district will ask for all of its levy capacity, so renewing that levy, renewing the levy that the current voters have approved with the state funding levy capacity, the 2025 state funding levy capacity. That blue line represents that operating budget. However, if the district were to utilize the same ratio or state levy capacity formula that was prior to the 2025 legislative session, we would see our fund balance decline unless we made significant cuts, about $4 to $6 million in the following year. So what does that look like from a tax rate perspective? You can see here this breaks down the overall information that is on the resolution and the estimated tax rate per thousand of assessed value for the district. You can see here you can see here those rates. I want to also highlight this proposed rate also reflects the bond information that was just presented to you by our Chief Operating Officer, Larry Fleckenstein, and that's about 9 cents of the rate increase overall. That new bond rate support actually is offset by an anticipated lower capital levy, because right now a lot of our our construction projects are being supported through our 2022 capital levy. So if the board approves the bond resolution and the community votes that bond in, we would anticipate doing our capital construction through the bond and not through that capital levy, so reducing that rate there. The ultimate goal is that the lower we reestablish a stable tax rate within the community. I also want to highlight here this represents our historical tax rate, and then the projected tax rates we would be based on the capital bond measure that was presented to you, as well as the educational programs information that was on this slide, and then it ultimately reestablishes a stable rate. This rate is also lower than the voter-approved rate in the 2022 education levy, inclusive of that capital projects and technology levy that was established as well in 2022. Our Fiscal Advisory Council had an opportunity to review this information prior to the board meeting. We have 9 community members on this council, as well as 4 principals, 4 students, 6 district staff, which 3 of our budget team, so just highlighting that, and then 3 association leaders. Members had various comments, but one of which being state funding shortfalls remain an ongoing challenge that should be addressed. And then ultimately, importance of communicating what the levy funds support and how crucial an investment it is to our students. And then the reality of that public education funding is very complex, and really ensuring that we provide information in a manner that is digestible to everyone in the community, as this is a very complex topic to continue to discuss. So as similar to Larry's presentation regarding, Larry Fleckenstein's presentation regarding the capital bond proposals, if the board approves the resolution, which we'll be asking for formal approval in our October meeting, on the next regular meeting in October, then the next steps would be to submit a pre-ballot authorization through OSPI, which is required by the law. And then in conjunction, we would have community events along with the capital bond measure, and then ultimately going out to be put on the ballot for election in February.
Terrific. Ms. Stress, thank you. We've been talking a lot about plans for the bond and not as much regarding the levy. So are there any questions? I'm going to first look to student representatives on this. No questions, comments, directors?
Great job. One quickie. Before October 14th, will we get any financial statements? I know, so August is like year end, right? That's kind of prelim. Probably not September, but just curious.
We aren't submitting anything until the state until October 25th, and then that isn't final until November 14th by state law when it comes to our financial statements.
Okay, thanks.
Director Atkins, again, just a reminder that since we can't see you, if you do have any questions, feel free to speak up.
Yeah, no questions from me right now.
Perfect, thank you. No questions, but again, thank you for all your work on this. Both of the draft resolutions are in board docs for people to review, and these will both come back October 14th for us. Also, we have on the website the Citizens Guide to understanding the budget for Everett Public Schools. So I would just encourage any of the public that are watching this, and if you have questions, look for the information online and reach out if you have questions. But I'm looking forward to going forward with this for what it can do for our schools. And lastly, just a big thank you. I think we've been able to pass these for I want to say the last 40 years. Our voters have been very supportive of our schools, which makes a big difference in a community. So I think that is it for this item. I'm looking for, just to make sure, our next items are policies, so I think we can go ahead and go through with those. Okay, so for next item, 15.03, policy 1114, oath of office. Mr. Fleckenstein, this is a proposed revision.
Well, thank you, Vice President Herman, Board of Directors, student representatives, and Superintendent Saltzman. Tonight, we have 5 policy revisions for your review. The first 4 are related to the passage of House Bill 1296. So in my first reading, I will give you a description, and then I will abbreviate it for the rest. So to begin, proposed revisions to policy 1114, oath of office, are in response to the passage of House Bill 1296, in which the Washington legislature set clear priorities and expands requirements for school districts where their policies and procedures must prioritize student safety, non-discrimination, access to basic education, and privacy to the fullest extent possible, except as required by state or federal law. Revisions make clear that newly elected, re-elected, or appointed board members shall take an oath or affirmation to support and uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington. The proposed revisions on the screen here have been previously reviewed by legal counsel and the superintendent's senior staff prior to tonight's meeting.
Terrific. This is a first reading, so I'm going to look first to see if there's any questions or discussion from either student representatives or board members. Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'm going to look to student representatives for an advisory vote. Passing this along to second reading if you'd like to weigh in on whether we should.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, for directors, any objection to moving this on to second reading?
None for me.
Great, thank you, Director Atkins. So seeing and hearing no objections, we'll move this on to second reading. Going on to the next policy, 1310.
Great, thank you. Proposed revisions to Policy 1310, Online Policy Manual and Adoption and Revision of Policies, result from the passage of House Bill 1296 to promote a safe and supportive public education system. The revisions make clear that policies and procedures adopted by school districts under Title 28A RCW must prioritize the protection of every student's safety, access to the state's statutory program of basic education, as defined in RCW 28A 150-203. The proposed revisions have been previously reviewed by legal counsel and the superintendent's senior staff.
Terrific, thank you. Once again, questions or comments regarding this policy revision? Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to look to the students for an advisory vote. Approval to move this on to a second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. For board members, any objection to moving this on to a second reading? Okay, seeing and hearing no objections, we will move this on to a second reading. Next policy 1611.
Thank you. Policy 1611, Ethical Conduct for School Board Directors, is revised also in response to the passage of House Bill 1296. The revisions make clear that school board directors support and uphold the constitutions of the United States and Washington State and the laws of Washington State, and that each of our school board directors is committed to upholding their oath of office and to ethical behavior. Further, each board member is subject to the Code of Ethics of Municipal Officers following Chapter 42.23 RCW, and that failure to adhere to the above Code of Ethics, failure to uphold their oath of office, or failure to comply with other policies adopted by the board or the law may result in formal censure of the offending school board director in accordance with Board Policy 1825. The proposed revisions to Policy 1611 have been previously reviewed by legal counsel and the superintendent's senior staff.
Thank you. Once again, questions or comments regarding this policy revision?
I have a very minor one, and it's only because it's highlighted because there's a change. Choices, I feel like the distinction is subtle, but could we change choices to decisions? Decisions need to be made on their merits. You know, choices are like the options before you, you know?
Yep, I'm glad to revisit that and provide an update.
Thank you.
Would it be appropriate to bring that update just for second reading?
Yep.
Okay with that, as amended? Okay. No further comments or questions regarding House Bill 1296, since the first four are all regarding that. If anyone does want to delve deeper, the legislative hearings on that, it was quite a hefty bill last legislative session. TVW still has those hearings recorded. They're quite interesting. Okay, so advisory vote from the students.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Any objection from directors in moving this on to a second reading? Okay. Seeing no and hearing no objections, we'll move this to a second reading. And then the next one, policy 3143.
Okay, and then last, that's impacted by the passage of House Bill 1296. The proposed revisions to Policy 3143 prioritize student safety, non-discrimination, access to basic education, and privacy to the fullest extent possible. Revisions ensure immediate communication with a parent or legal guardian is made where there is probable cause that a student has been a victim of or has perpetuated a criminal incident on school district property. The proposed revisions to Policy 3143 district notification and dissemination of information about student offenses, and notification of threats of violence or harm have been previously reviewed by legal counsel and the superintendent's senior staff.
Perfect. That's what I was wondering, if you could just scroll down to that portion right there and give everyone a chance to view that. But any questions or comments first?
I have a question. How does the school balance the need for student safety with legal requirements related to privacy?
So first and foremost, we have to follow the law, right? This particular amendment here, and there's several other policies in the district, govern the way that we communicate with law enforcement officers and student privacy rights, student records. So we hold student privacy very tightly, and only through the necessity of having to communicate with, say, law enforcement in this particular case where a criminal act has been committed. The provision in this is to notify the families, the student's parent or guardian immediately. That's this provision. So privacy is number one about students. I would have to delve into several other policies that, to go through that, and I'm happy to do that with you some other time. But we have students' privacy and privacy rights in the state of Washington. We also have a duty to protect other students, right? And so our student discipline policy in particular about the safety or harm part really outlines what we have to do there. So I hope that's a brief but adequate description of to answer your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Can you scroll down just a little bit more too? Just for the public, on all of our policies, there's references to, a lot of times policies interact with other policies, and so it's helpful to have that. Seeing no other questions or discussion, I'm going to first again look to the students for an advisory vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And for directors, any objection to moving this on to second reading? Okay. Seeing and hearing no objections, we will move this on to second reading. And our last policy for the night, policy 5230.
Thank you. And our last policy presented this evening for your review and approval is proposed revisions to policy 5230, personnel files. Revisions here are based on Substitute House Bill 1308 concerning employee access to personnel records. The bill improves employee access to personnel records in Washington state and requires public and private employers to provide current and former employees access to their personnel files upon request. The proposed revisions to policy 5230 have been previously reviewed by legal counsel and the superintendent's senior staff prior to tonight's meeting.
Terrific, thank you. Questions, comments, or discussion on this one? Okay. Seeing or hearing none, any objection to moving this on to second reading? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I apologize. The student advisory vote. If you could do that first.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, now any objection to moving this on to second reading for our directors? Okay, seeing and hearing no objections, we'll move this to second reading. And that leads us to section 16.0, upcoming agenda items. Dr. Salzman, what is planned for our upcoming meetings?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board Directors, student reps, and the public. At the October 14th regular meeting, the board agenda will contain the following: post-secondary enrollment patterns, several policies for second reading, recognition for the core value champions for respect, the capital bond proposition and resolution, the educational programs and operations levy resolution, Northwest School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Children sole source and contracts, Ziply Fiber sole source and procurement, and the Rotary Club of Everett monetary gift. Respectfully submitted. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Terrific. Okay, section 17.0, executive closed session. We do not have one this evening. And section 18.0, adjournment. This concludes the September 30th, 2025 regular meeting of the Everett Public Schools Board of Directors. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for coming.